podcast, we've had a chance to chat with some really cool people, some international superstars, some retired hockey players, and just really enjoyed chatting rugby. But I think we're also going to do some one-off spotlights where we maybe focus on some club level players and retired guys. So this podcast is that itself. It's me chatting with some of my old rugby buddies. We get together every couple months or less and have a couple of drinks and just swap stories. And because of COVID, we did a Zoom call there recently, and these are the 40 minutes or so of us chatting about traditions and songs and I guess state of rugby in New Brunswick and our thoughts on it. And some things were edited out, but it's really entertaining. I've already spoken with some ladies from the Irish, so that pod will be going up eventually, and I'll probably chat with some loyalists, some Moncton guys, some Trojan guys as well, and just talking about the game locally, and because we're impacted as much as anybody else during COVID, and what can the NBRU do to gain strength and refocus and revamp itself moving forward. So thank you for joining us in the Canadian Rock. I'm Jamie Gray, and I'm bringing some of my buddies today. I've got Gary Keynes, Jaime is his nickname, Corey Sprague, who's Archie, Dave Ness, Dirty/Double, and Craig Moose Barnett. We're just sharing some drinks and swapping stories on Zoom. Make sure you follow us online. Spread the word if you hear some names being dropped on there. Tag them in a post and enjoy the show. It was a lot of laughs, and it was a great time chatting with my old boys.
All right, so I've got some old rugby buddies on with me. I've got Gary Keynes, Jaime, Corey Sprague, Archie, Dave Ness, Dirty/Double, and Craig Moose Barnett, coming to you from all over New Brunswick. And boys just want to share some stories and talk about rugby in New Brunswick. And I think Gary's hopefully going to lead us off talking about some traditions like singing songs to the opposition back and forth. Take it away, Jaime.
All right. Well, I'm just my own personal experience. So my two older brothers played rugby. One's 8 years older and another one's 11 years older. So I'm still in elementary school when they're playing for the team in St. John. I won't mention their name. And so I sort of grew up knowing one day I want to play rugby. I want to do this. But when they weren't home, they'd shared a room together. I'd often go rooting through their stuff, and I found a book called Rugby Songs. And I'm flipping through this, and any naughty word, you had the vowels changed with symbols, but you knew what they were. And as a kid, 12, maybe 14-year-old, I was getting the greatest kick out of these songs. So that was my very first experience. Now in high school, I played football and rugby, and we sang, but we did, basically it was old sea shanties like North Atlantic Squadron and Barnacle Bill the Sailor and that sort of thing. It wasn't until I got to UNB that I was really immersed in the tradition of singing rugby songs. And a number of the guys there were from the UK, so they brought a lot of songs over with them. And I just, I just fell in love with the genre, if you like. And what amazed me was here we were, we'd practice hard and we'd play hard, and then afterwards we'd meet up at the Arms with, say, the Fredericton Loyalists. And back in that day, there was no university league. So the universities like Mount A and St. Thomas and UPEI, they played in the senior league. And UNB was part of that, and you didn't have to be a student, although most of the guys were. But there were faculty. I remember two guys who taught in the business department were there, and you had a lot of guys who had graduated from UNB. I used to get such a kick out of the fact that there we were after the game, closed up, performing with or singing with the Loyalists, and you look around the room, and here we had a lot of university students, again faculty. There was a lawyer, at least one engineer, a lot of the guys who had nice jobs, respectable members of the community, and we all we'd all revert back to our inner 14-year-old and start singing about things like boobies. It just, I don't know. And I think deep down in all of us, there's that 14-year-old boy who just didn't get to experience everything he wanted to experience when he was 14. And now as adults, we get to go back and enjoy that, if only for a couple of hours on a Saturday in the fall. But so I learned a lot of songs. I'd sing along. I was never the lead at UNB because so many guys had already taken those spots over. So I went to Newfoundland. I came back, and Kings County. Anyway, so Belleisle. I go out to Belleisle, and that was the year we started the club. And a few guys came out with me with the Lions, but most of the guys were graduates of Belleisle, and they weren't familiar at all with the singing tradition. And then as the years progressed, fellows like you graduated and became part of the team. So former students of mine were now teammates. And I sort of took on the job of team troubadour. But it all changed with social media and cell phones. And I remember one time at the clubhouse, I was going to sing a song, and I looked down, and it was a sister of one of our teammates. She actually, I taught her as well. But she had her cell phone down, and she was going to record me singing. And I thought, no, I don't need this. And I had visions of the superintendent calling me into the office one day and say, yes, Mr. Keynes, I saw a video of you on Facebook. Oh, really? I don't know anything about that. Yes. Oh, you're a wonderful singer. Oh, why, thank you very much, ma'am. But I'm curious to know, what is a Dicky Dido anyway? And I could picture my career crashing down. And that's when I stopped singing. The only time I sang since then, we were coming back, I think from St. Stephen on a bus, and it was late and it was dark. And I thought, well, someone could record the audio, but no one's going to get a video of me singing the Welsh Minor, have the option of putting it on, through social media. It's too bad. This changed everything. Everything.
Yeah,
What's your favorite song, Jaime?
Oh, Welsh Minor for sure.
Archie, what about you?
I'd have to say I'm quite fond of the Welsh Minor.
Nice.
I
My
thought
version.
I thought it would be Charlotte the Harlot.
I'm voting for Charlotte the Harlot.
All right. What about you, Moose? So for those that don't remember, Moose does a mean haka. I remember late 90s.
Yeah.
You would rock that after every match up at the clubhouse.
Yeah, I try to anyway.
Yeah.
My best version of it. I'd have to say, it's hard to pick one song you like best. Typically, you kind of roll through them, they all roll together after a while. But probably the Welsh Minor as well, yeah.
There we go.
One we
Welsh
always
Minor.
look forward to past.
That one in, what was the old department store in Chicago or something? What was that one?
Yeah.
I used to work in Chicago, the department store, yes.
I don't know if it's a rugby song, but Long Black Sausage by Brian.
Brian did that one justice, didn't he?
Is that a rugby song, Jaime, or is that something Brian just made up?
Oh, it became one. Yeah.
Yeah.
It did.
No, I think so. That counts.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
So what?
But it wasn't a sing-along song. It was
No.
different.
I think along with the what goes hand in hand with the rugby songs is the old boat race.
Absolutely.
Belleisle had a great boat race team.
There's definitely some good boat race guys. I think Derek Huggard's up there, and Matt James is up there as far as speed.
Matt James is definitely one of the tops. Yeah. And if you were in a pinch, Knuckles could always anchor for you as well.
Absolutely.
You can always rely on Knuckles to crush a few beers.
Dave DeRusso was pretty good at crunching a beer too.
Yeah, Dave was always good too. Yep.
Boys, I don't know. Did we ever lose one in our clubhouse? I don't recall.
Never at home.
Yep. Not in our years anyway.
I hate to admit it, but I think the fastest beer drinker I don't think is a Rover. It's a Trojan, and it's fucking Swirl. Jamie.
Out of a cup.
Oh yeah,
Out of a
yeah,
cup. Yeah, it is out of a cup.
Out of a
Not out of a bottle.
out of a cup.
Matt James, I think, made
100%.
fastest out of a bottle.
yeah.
Right.
So out of a cup, that makes it whistlier. It's not with a straw.
Like it's a
It just adds to the spill
it was
factor,
the
right?
Trojans.
Yeah, I was trying to avoid
Yeah, he
saying
just threw it behind his head.
That's Andy Monahan. Actually, I've seen him get so excited trying to take a drink so fast, he just splashes himself right in the face with the whole drink. Then he'd look at you and say, I got excited, bud. That's it.
So Archie, would that be your favorite tradition, the boat race?
Yeah, you know something? The other night, kids and I were playing, I don't know, some game because, of course, we can't do anything else. And for some reason, shoot the boot come into my head. And as far as a tradition, as far as rookie initiation, I think shooting the boot is probably right up there.
Did you ever shoot the boot?
Probably not allowed to do it anymore. Oh no, I don't think I was ever a rookie.
Fair enough. Did you have to do the yardstick when we were over in Europe? Do the yard?
No, I remember some things when we were there that I'm glad we never did. Were you
Fair
on,
enough.
were you on the bus in Wales? Were you with Irish and I?
Is that the one that Frenchie was puking on the bus all the time?
No, we were with the Wales club, and yeah, I'm not going to go into detail because I know you're recording, but stuff they did to the rookies, and then kicked them out of the bus with no clothes on, and made them run to the clubhouse.
Nope.
I think Belleisle had it pretty easy.
Yeah, I think it's a different deal over there altogether.
What was your favorite tradition, Moose?
I gotta like the boat race.
Boat race.
I have much more fun memories compared to the shoot the boot, which I only had to do once. It was awful.
Hey, boys, did we ever do spoons at the clubhouse?
Yes,
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
plenty of time.
That was after I left.
Spoon game. That was a great game. I think the first time I ever saw that was in Woodstock. Does that sound right?
Well, it wasn't for me, but Neil Pickerskill used to love setting that one up. It was back in the days of the Lions, but anyway.
What's your favorite tradition, Dirty?
Born then, Jaime.
Sorry?
Most of us weren't born back in the Lions days.
Yeah, weren't, yeah.
What's your favorite tradition?
Sorry, we're picking on Jaime again.
Yeah, what is with that?
You're due. You're due.
My favorite tradition?
Yeah.
I don't think are just rugby traditions. I think it's a little more specific for me, and it's Belleisle rugby traditions. Things that you knew were going to happen on a training day or a game day or, pre-game or post-game. When you got to the pitch, after you got when you were warming up, you always went to the line and did sticks, in and out that 3 times each way.
Yeah.
After a game, sitting down in the corner, and Grant, it's everybody laying in the corner, and Grant coming and talking to everybody, and just, I really remember that part of it. That's some of the things that I really enjoyed or took from it for sure. Clubhouse time, any time at the clubhouse. Our clubhouse in the day was world class.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
That thing was a legend in itself, the clubhouse.
Yeah.
It was its own place. It was an institution there for probably, 10, 12 years?
Yeah. That's a good spot.
Yeah.
Is that building still there?
There's a lot of things that went down up there. Yeah.
The building's still standing, Jaime.
What's that?
Building's still standing.
Is it?
She's just in bad repair.
There was a fire up there one time, wasn't there?
Oh, it burnt to the ground once.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, the old house. Yeah. That's something I can remember too. Is we'd go and train for an hour, hour and a half, and then everyone would hike it up to the clubhouse and go work on the clubhouse until you couldn't see anymore, or because it was too dark, or otherwise you couldn't see anymore.
Yeah.
We put the tools away and keep enjoying ourselves.
Yeah, going to the Buccaneer on a Saturday morning on your way to Charlotte County.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of stuff. Those were all traditions. Like Grant
Absolutely.
was great at building routine into a lot of it, which kept it, you know, not that maybe we needed too much routine, but it kept everybody knew what was going on for the most part. And
What about you, Jaime? What was your favorite tradition from playing?
Well, the singing, I guess. And I keep going back to my UNB days. And particularly when we played the Loyalists, we close up at the Riverview Arms. And finally everybody was there. And then one team would start. And the expectation was the other team would sing a song and you'd go back and forth and back and forth. I was never a big fan of the Elephant Walk. I never participated in that. I wasn't that bold enough. But I do remember one time my girlfriend came up from St. John, saw us play, and we went to the Riverview Arms. And I didn't want her sitting in the other side with the rugby teams. I knew it would just be a little too raunchy. So I sat over in the other section. And the boys started calling my name from the other side. And I said, no, I'm not going to go over. Anyway, they did the Elephant Walk. That's where you strip down to everything except your sneakers.
Yep.
And they form a chain. And the first guy, one arm is the trunk of the first elephant. And he puts his hand between his legs, and that's his tail. And the next guy. So I'm sitting there whining, or at least, yeah, my girlfriend, and this trail of guys come out all naked, did a circle around our table. I think that was the last post-rugby party she ever went to. But,
like that no pants party the Trojans had, remember, Archie, up in Mactaquac? The strangest thing I ever saw in my life.
Yeah, I think right at that point I said, yep, we're out of here.
A room full of men, and they all had, none of them were wearing pants.
well, how about this? Anybody ever do the Zumba Warrior at the clubhouse?
Zulu Warrior?
Yeah, Zulu Warrior.
I don't remember that in the clubhouse. I remember that. Moon, you were probably there. You were probably chaperone going to Yale.
Yeah.
They'd do a Zulu Warrior. They'd tie all your clothes in a knot in the bathroom, drive you in there and take after.
Yeah, it wasn't a good chaperone, I don't think.
Yeah, thanks a lot for everything you did there for me, bud. Yeah. There was some funny stuff on those trips, though, those couple of years. Remember Brad getting the bush?
Yep.
Yeah, walking straight into that bush in front of the Fingan restaurant.
Yeah, there was some.
But,
fun
just the
times
same,
guys
boys.
did.
What another tradition that should be mentioned in this talk lately about a minor hockey where they don't want them to shake hands anymore because a couple of idiots have taken the opportunity to punch out another player.
Yeah.
But in rugby, as aggressive as it is, there's just that rule that when it's all done, you meet afterwards and you drink beer together, right?
Yeah.
Typically, you buy the opponent a beer.
Yeah, you buy that one. Yeah, buy him a beer and.
Greatest game in the world.
Yeah,
Greatest
really.
game in the world, hands down, for me.
Yeah.
Anyway, the camaraderie, when you go into a rugby game with 15 or 18 other guys, you're essentially, you're going to battle for 80 minutes. And you're going to do it together. And some days it's going to go well and you're going to be on the front foot. Some days it's going to go worse and you're going to be on the hind foot. Like it's kind of a great metaphor in itself. and the camaraderie and the relationships that come out of it. I know for myself, playing the rugby that I did growing up, and then furthermore as an adult, helped shape who I am right now. I'm
Boys.
thrilled with everything that I ever got from rugby.
Is that a good thing or bad thing, Dave?
It was meant to be good. Yeah.
So when we all played, like the Rovers started, what, 94, 95, 25, 26 years ago, there were, what, damn near a dozen teams, senior teams in the province.
92. Fall of 92.
And then, it's like every Saturday you had a game, no hands down. There's no question about it. But now there's what, 4 teams: Trojans, Loyalists, Rovers, Moncton. And it seems like you can't even scrape boys together unless you're a Trojan or a Loyalist. Like, what's going on with rugby in New Brunswick?
I don't know. Back in those days, though, you also had university teams, right?
Yeah.
Were you guys part of that?
Yeah.
mean,
A little bit.
I never
and
played.
we were,
I didn't
and
play
we-
rugby.
no.
There's Woodstock, Miramichi, St. Stephen, right? 2 teams in St. John, a couple teams in Fredericton, Moncton.
Yeah, Bathurst used to have a
I
team.
got,
right?
I got a thought.
Yeah.
I
Arch?
got a thought, Moon. I think it goes back to a lot of, and you talk about it a lot on your podcast. It goes back to a lot of one sport deal where guys specialize one thing, this thing, that thing. You get these kids that are 15, 16 years old. They're playing hockey 12 months of the year. They're not exposed to rugby, so they don't roll into it as we did. I mean, we played hockey in the winter. You might play ball in the summer. You rolled into rugby in the fall, and that's what we did. And you had all those guys across the province doing that, and I don't think we have that anymore.
Yeah, it's pretty
To
rare.
the point now where we have, and we have clubs like Belleisle asking guys like myself at 43 years old, "Hey, do you think you could play this year?"
Yeah.
Of course, I think I can play, but
Does that mean
what's
you're
that?
depending on me,
When am I getting the call?
you know what I mean. Don't you get the call every year, Jaime?
Not
We
for a
should
couple
have
years.
enough 19-year-olds. We don't have to call Jaime. We don't have to call Archie or Dirty. You know what I mean? That's my point.
Yeah.
I mean, we should be on the sidelines drinking beer, watching the boys play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not that.
I don't know, boys. It's like
I'm
watching
no better
porno.
than anybody.
What, Jaime?
I watch a rugby
How does it
game.
like
I want
to
to
watch?
play. Well, it's like porno. I don't want to watch it. I want to be in it, right? You're going to edit that out, I assume, Jamie. But
Nope.
watching a rugby game, you want to be in the thick of it. You want to smell that dirt, right? You want to feel the mud between your toes.
Yeah, I've been to a handful of games the last couple of years, and every game I go to watch, Cash or Coin or somebody walks over and says, "Where's your kit?" I'm like, I'm early 40s, boys. Like, nope.
It almost turns you off, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I
And then
don't want that pressure either. I just want to go stand, have a beer with Archie and watch the game.
Yeah.
I'm like Jaime though. When I get there, I
Great
want to
sport.
go on the field, but I know that's not a good idea at this stage of my life.
Yeah.
Yeah, be nice to walk the next couple of weeks.
Fair enough. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
I know I could play 80 minutes, but
That's the
I
next.
probably won't be able to do it. I probably won't be able to do anything for 2 weeks after.
See, I'm a teacher, so I have 2 weeks in the summer to heal up, I guess. But
Well, yeah, I guess if you're a teacher, you probably get all winter as well. Or how long's the school year?
I don't know, a couple months.
But my point is, I guess, yeah, am I wrong, Moon? Am I wrong in saying that? Do you
I don't think
that's where
so.
it's gone?
I think part of it is the individualization, the specialization of hockey players in the province, or even like soccer and football programs now, basketball programs. It's you try and get a kid to do something that is different to what they normally do. They don't see the benefits in it. The parents don't see the benefits of it. And the coaches put so much pressure on them to focus on one thing. We're probably I think we're the poorest province in the country. We've had a mass exodus over the last 20 to 30 years of people heading out west to work, and then they don't come back. And so that takes a lot of people away. You look at numbers, just specifically, like Loyalists are always going to be strong because they've got university kids there to play for them. Trojans relatively always have good numbers. Moncton should, because they're the largest city in the province, but it's a big football place, and high school and college football happens the same time as senior and university rugby. So to try and get some of those guys to play, it makes it difficult. And I think the other
here's another thought. I do have one other thought.
Absolutely.
It doesn't seem rugby in New Brunswick is played for fun anymore. It seems like we've gotten too competitive.
And we don't have
all the years we
spent. I think contributes to it too is about 15 years ago, or maybe it was even more than 15 years ago, who knows, but the insurance policy changed. I can remember that year our fees doubled and then some in Belleisle. And it was easy to attract people to come out and just give rugby a try when your fees were relatively cheap for a young fella who probably wasn't working too many jobs or anything. You can entice them with, come out, try it. It's only $60. All you need is a pair of shoes and you're good to go.
Yeah.
Now you're trying to entice people to just give a sport a try for, $200, $250. A little hard to entice people to give them a try. But
yeah, that's true.
You can't go without insurance, and it's understandable why you need it. But I remember that being a big changing moment. You saw clubs like Woodstock really suffer in numbers.
Yeah.
Those years.
The province of Nova Scotia last year didn't do the game any service either and shut down all, basically,
not at all,
high school rugby. So that's not great for.
And now with middle school taking contact out of rugby, right? A lot of parents.
Possible. Like, I mean, Archie, you and I coached middle school rugby, and Jaime, and those kids, they got knocked around a bit. And I mean, obviously, Archie, you know how it can end up. What happened to Elliot? It's not great for recruitment. They shut it down, and I know you're not about shutting it down, Arch, but those stories happen, and everybody's okay. But they did happen, and when it did happen, it makes it hard to try and brand it in a different way too. It's really easy for somebody to brand it like it's super dangerous and everybody's going to get hurt, and that's the way it can end up going. And in this case,
but that doesn't happen when somebody gets injured in hockey or football.
No,
it doesn't seem to. I've not heard of it.
South Africa, New Zealand, and a lot of places overseas, first practice, they bring out a ball. Second practice, they start teaching tackling. 5 years old, 6 years old. Because to them, tackling is as basic as passing and catching a ball. I've had parents talk to me saying, I won't let my kid play high school if he doesn't get exposed to contact before then.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't expect a kid to jump into high school rugby without any training. And when we were coaching, the first thing we were trying to do was teach tackle, and just get them to lots of balls, and keep their hands on the ball, and just make sure there's something for them to pick up and toss around, and trying to keep them organized. But tackle first
take a tackle.
What we were trying to teach them.
Jaime?
I don't know. We're covering a lot of topics here. Is it fair to say, though, there are more people playing rugby now in the province? That includes middle school, high schools, university women.
I don't think so.
40 years ago? No?
40 years ago, maybe 40, but not 25. More than the 80s, probably.
All right.
Maybe.
Well, the middle schools got shut down 2 years ago.
Yeah,
What
it's
was it?
non-contact now.
Oh, okay. So there's still a
In
league.
Hampton, they're not bringing it back. They're not interested in bringing it back in
It
Hampton.
didn't sound like
At
it.
all.
It went quiet in a hurry.
There's still a middle school program, but it's all non-contact sevens.
See, the advantage places like the UK, and you go down to Australia, New Zealand, there's rugby centered around their clubs in the community.
Yeah.
And kids come in because their older brothers and their dads played. And that's where they're taught. They're given a ball. Like a lot of dads are taking their 3-year-olds out, teaching them how to skate and hold a hockey stick. So it's entrenched in the community and everybody understands it. Here, people who don't know it, and that includes parents with kids coming into school, they see it as football without equipment. And, it's an uphill battle. And then you have a couple of
Looks barbaric.
for somebody on the sidelines who's never seen the game. But I mean, you guys, it's a diagonal game, and I don't have any equipment, nor does the guy who's tackling me. So and if I don't want to be tackled, I'll just throw the ball to somebody, and I'm okay. I don't like football where you can torpedo somebody, right? You can block someone who's wants to get at your quarterback or linebacker. But in rugby, unless you have the ball, people can't mess with you. But I don't know. I don't know what the answer is.
Me neither.
How's the senior game?
I think the senior game is, from an outsider's perspective, it's in a lot of trouble. The NBRU's in a lot of trouble.
Just because of the current crisis?
That they're almost guaranteed there won't be any summer rugby for women or men, meaning the men's program won't start until mid-late August. But even then, you've got 2 strong teams with lots of players, and you've got 2 other teams that are, just hanging on by their fingernails right now, right? So that makes it pretty difficult. You've got time right now. You've had the last 6 weeks. You've got another few weeks of this quarantine where you could actually be brainstorming, doing Zoom meetings like this, where you could come up with ideas like, how can we retain players? How come we're not getting more senior players into the high schools, into the middle schools to help those programs, right? Like I remember when we were in middle school, Arsh, you're a year younger than me, the high school players would help us. And then when we were in high school, we'd get some of the old alumni guys, even though there wasn't a Rovers team then, they would come to our practices. Why doesn't that happen now? Why aren't the Fredericton Loyalists, who've got 100 players or however many, and maybe they do, but how come they're not helping George Street Middle School or Bliss Carmen School or what have you, or the Trojans doing the same thing? Like there's 30 schools in the St. John area, middle school and high school, where the Trojan players could be helping run practices, even if they get it once a week. Like you're going to learn from guys that have been playing for years. Why not? Why not bring in?
Do, don't they?
Some of them do. The St. John Irish do. They're in schools all the time, right? But why? There should be more. Like when I look down from my school and I see Rossay High, who's got a population of 600+, they don't have a team because nobody will coach them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
To me, that's just asinine.
I had the same conversation with Kim Giddens
Number of times?
Well, no, I'm thinking a month and a half ago when Grant was gone to Spain. He asked me to help with the high school program. This was before the whole lockdown.
Yep.
And every sport in high school has the same issue. If you look at little Belleisle Regional High School right now, I think Kim Giddens is the only coach. Outside of that, you got Skidder, who's coaching girls basketball. I don't know if anybody's seen Skidder play basketball, but it's probably not good. Girls high school volleyball, Skidder's coaching that. Middle school basketball is coached by Sonny's sister, Mia. Yep. Like, it's all Chris Chris Parley coached girls soccer along with Skitter. It's all done by parents,
Yeah.
and I think when you look at it, I think when you look at the MBRU, I think when you look at rugby in New Brunswick, it's no different than any other sport that is school related or outside of school. No one's going to give up their time anymore. They can be entertained some other way. They can pick up their phone. They can look at Facebook. They can go on Twitter. They can watch YouTube. I think it's no different what happened with our hockey league years ago with the KCHL. I mean, when I first started playing there at 18, 19 years old, the stands were packed with people.
Have 1,000 people there.
Yeah. And it got to 10 because TSN, you could watch a game any time of the week. You could be entertained some other way without going to the rink.
I also look at it too that
Good night, Daddy.
I also look at it
Love
too
you.
though. Here's
Love you too, Corey.
here's Dave Ness living in Hampton, and he decides I'm going to coach middle school rugby. Like, he's got no kids there, but he wants to do it. And he, Archie, you help him. Moose, you've offered to help at rookie rugby some. Gary helps at my rookie rugby. He referees. Like, are we the outliers in this statement, or are we fishing for something that's not there?
Are we all benefactors of just being in the right place at the right time and being in the window of time that Gary sang songs with Neil Pickersgill, and then the Lions were formed, and then the Rovers were formed in the 80s, and you guys were teaching, and Grant was teaching, and Grant was coaching, and we were all right there.
Yeah, but Moose is from Hampton. He didn't get the high school experience with us.
No, but it all started kind of right there. And when I was a kid going to Belleisle Elementary, I knew that right across the road there was this whole thing about rugby. And it was big, and they were good, and it was right across the street happening. So it's like you could not know about it. And then we got to be there, and we all played, and then we all got to continue into senior rugby. And
it's not like that anymore, and it's probably not like that at any other school.
No, and Grant's retired now. I don't know what that's going to do for the program. I hope there's a way to build on what he's already laid the foundation for. It's going to be hard.
I don't think it's good. I don't think it's good.
It's going to be hard to replace him.
If you look,
and I know he's still Rovers, and he's fantastic, but and maybe is he still coaching the high school stuff, the high school teams?
Yeah, he's there, but without him not being in the school, the recruitment is lost.
Different deal. Yeah. So we were through the middle of it. And that's
it's
the Belleisle thing. That's
I spoke with him
the MBRU, but that's what made Belleisle great.
And it's true. In a lot of schools now, the majority of coaches are not teachers anymore. They're parents of kids who are in the school, and they want their daughter to play basketball, and they know if they don't coach, there may not be a program.
Yeah.
And I don't know why that is. When I came through, it was part of the job. You just did it.
Yeah.
I mean, you just did it. And there were always those teachers on staff who didn't do a whole lot of anything outside of teach, but they were few and far between. And is it the same thing? You take a look at membership in churches, except for these Pentecostal churches with charismatic leaders. The number of churches in the city that have closed, the curling clubs, the legions that have closed, the different service groups that are struggling for membership. But and why is that? Why is it now? There was a time, for example, Hampton Curling Club, Gordy Foster would open on Fridays after school. He would open it up. And a lot of teachers would leave their respective schools, and they go to the curling club and have a beer before they went home. So what is it about our lifestyle? What is it about about the pace of what's going on, the opportunities. I don't know, that people just want to go home at the end of the day. They just want to go home at the end of the week. So maybe rugby is suffering from the same. And I suspect from a teacher perspective, we're just bombarded with so much, and just so much change, so many demands. I guess maybe I get it as a young teacher. I just want to go home at the end of the day. I don't know. There's at least a master's degree in there. And as what we've discussed, talked about in rugby,
Sorry about that,
I
boys.
don't know what I'm trying to say here. Is it all part of the same phenomenon? Where now the majority of teachers just want to go home at the end of the day and want to go home at the end of the week. The same reason you have fewer people, involved in service clubs, involved in curling clubs, the legions that are being closed, churches that are being closed. There's as many people, but what is it that is turning us off from turning towards each other during the course of a week and month? And commitment, I don't know. I don't know.
Do you think liability plays into it a little bit? Like, it seems like I don't know.
No,
There's
because
all these
there's no liability with service clubs. There's no liability with real liability with curling clubs. But I wonder if it isn't the same issue where people just don't want to get involved because
It's one more thing.
it's one more thing, or I don't know. There was a time I can remember driving back and forth to Fredericton when I was up there for 4 years. I was back and forth 2 nights a week, every second weekend. This is with the Navy. And if you were driving along and you saw a car on the side of the road, you just stop to say, do you need a hand? Is everything okay? And now we're just zooming by saying, he's got a cell phone, I'm sure. If he needs to get a hold of somebody, or someone else will stop. We seem to be in a quicker pace or in a hurry to get to wherever we're going. And we're just bombarded continuously with stimuli. I just wonder if people just aren't burned out. And
I wonder if the current situation we're in, Jaime, won't spark a change on that.
maybe.
And now people are, a month and a half, 2 months into being told to stay home at all costs.
Forced to slow
All they're
down.
doing is screaming to get out. It was said that how often do you see a maritimer on the beach in March? Yet they had to close beaches because too many people were going in March.
Yeah.
Maybe after all this is said and done, we'll see a resurgence in people getting involved in their community and getting out more, and maybe taking a little bit less time at work. In my head, we keep going through why this doesn't work. I think it's because people's workday stopped being 8 to 4, and it's 8 to 4, but you got to take your cell phone home with you or your laptop home with you, and it's expected to be on all night because you're going to answer emails until 8 or 9 o'clock at night. And if you're dedicating an hour and a half to coaching some kids and stuff, and you're going to miss out on some opportunities to move your career forward. Like I said, maybe these times are going to prove to us that we don't need to keep moving our careers forward. We can take that time out in our days and spend it towards the community and spend it towards the kids and stuff.
Yeah, that was great. Sharing time with those guys in person, far outweighs getting together via video, but you do what you can in these times. So it was great to chat and catch up. Coming up shortly, Gareth Reese will be our next big guest on, and following that, we have Brad May, the NHL. We have Magali Harvey as well coming up soon, and I've got about 10 other names that are joining us, and also we have another quarantine roundtable with a few boys from the Chiefs of Super Rugby. So you're going to want to hear that. That's going to be a great time as well. I'd like to say thanks to Ben Sound Music for supplying our tunes. And just really like to tip our hats to what happened in Nova Scotia this past weekend, to the first responders, to all those that were impacted. Devastating times in those communities in Nova Scotia, and it was our heartfelt sympathies going out to those members of those families, the police officer, the teachers, everybody that their lives were taken, and for this senseless tragedy. The police officer, my understanding, is a former rugby player and coach. So that's hitting some other communities hard down there as well. And we'd really just like to pay our respects from here at the Canadian Rock to all those that were impacted. And we wish you the best to get through and persevere and, eventually come out stronger through this senseless tragedy. So that's it for me, Jamie Gray signing off. Until next time, stay safe, stay healthy, and stay sane, and keep on rocking.